All right, y'all, so let's learn how to use private money for new construction loans. So private money is for builders, developers, and real estate investors to finance their deals. So a private lender can be an individual or a company who has access to money that they lend out to other people. So generally, private money loans for new construction can be anywhere from 12 to 36 months. Let's just assume you're gonna sell the property, right? So you can also call this a short-term note, right? So it lasts 1 to 3 years, depending on how large of a project. If it's a smaller single family home, maybe 12 to 15 month note. If you're doing a larger development, it could be 18, 24, 36 months, all depending on how large, right? So this is a short-term note. Let's go through an example of why you may need a private money construction loan. So let's say it's a beautiful day down here in the state of Texas and you find a piece of land that you want to build on. So you're gonna incorporate this 3-part strategy, right? So you have number 1, the buy, number 2, the build, and number 3, you're gonna sell, right? So it's competitive down here in Texas, so you definitely wanna jump on the opportunity quickly, strike while the iron is hot, right? So many people don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around the bank, so they'll need financing, right? So this is the beauty of private money. This is where private money comes in. So let's go through an example just to paint y'all a little picture here. So let's say you're gonna purchase the land for 20K, right? So that is your land purchase. And you're gonna build for 200K, right? So this is your build cost. These are your construction costs, right? And you are gonna sell for 300. Right? So your land purchase 20K, you're gonna build for 200 and you're gonna sell for 300. So your private lender could help you buy the land and finance your construction costs, right? This is just a very short example for the time being, y'all. And we're gonna talk about a few different strategies that you could use to be able to, to be able to do that new construction deal. So let's go to the next step. All right, so your private money lender can get you your money fast. For example's sake, let's say they can get it to you within 5 to 10 business days. Some can do it a little sooner, some it may take a bit longer. It all really depends, but just for an example's sake, let's say 5 to 10 business days, right? So a conventional bank, not to pick on our friends at the local bank down the street, but it could take them 30 to 90 days to close. And now, this is not always true. I don't want to paint them with a broad brush, but we all know that in a fast market, you can't wait that long and you could already miss your opportunity. So this is why people use private money construction loans, because they know that they can close quickly. All right, so let's go through our first step, which is the buy, right? So you are buying the property, right? Let's say you're buying the piece of land. The land may need to be replatted or it's already platted and ready to go. So you could be buying a smaller, ugly house that you're looking to tear down, right? So let's say this is our little plot of land, and on the piece of land is a tiny house, right? And you need to tear down the house to have an empty lot that's ready for construction, right? This is also known as a tear down. So let's just put our little house here, and you can also call that a tear down, right? Or you could also call it a tear down new build, is what somebody calls it. Pretty self-explanatory here. You would tear down the small home to be able to build a nicer structure on top of it, right? So let's look at 3 options that you could implement when you're buying the land. So let's say you buy the land in cash, right? So with this example, you're buying the land cash. Let's say that you buy the land for, let's say your land purchase is 50, right? So you have a 50K land purchase, right? So you own the land for 50K. You own this land outright, right? So you own the land outright for 50K, and then you would go to your lender strictly for the construction costs, strictly for the build costs, right? So now let's look at number 2. Let's say number 2, you get the land under contract and you would secure financing for the land plus construction, right? So we'll call this land plus construction. Let's just abbreviate that. So our first one, we have just buy the land outright, right? So let's use this example. You're purchasing the land for 50K, and then you're going to only get financing for the construction. Whereas in option number 2, you're getting land plus construction, right? So if this is 50K and your construction is 200, you know, that's 250K. That's your total development cost, 250K. Now, of course, your lender is not gonna finance all 250K, right? But they can finance, obviously, a percentage of that. It depends on the lender. All right, y'all, so number 3, let's call this one the bridge, right? So if you think of a bridge, think of 2 parts connecting, right? So let's say here, and the bridge is connecting you to over here, right? So you're connecting from one place to another. So the bridge would be the understanding that the lender would help you finance the land, right? So they're helping you finance the land, and then you would eventually refinance, right? So let's call this, you would refinance, right? So you're taking down the land, you're refinancing into an eventual construction loan, right? So let's call this your bridge, right? And you can also, some people will call this a land takedown. So pretty self-explanatory here. The land takedown is you taking down the land, right? You securing the land, right? And through the bridge, right, you're basically getting the land, and you are bridging, eventually you're going to bridge into a construction loan, right? So the lender would help finance the land for you, and you would refinance eventually into a construction loan. So that's another strategy you can use as well. All right, so that wraps up our 3 parts here, and this is the buy. All right, let's move on to the next part. All right, y'all, so let's look at number 2. Number 2 is the build, right? So the build, pretty self-explanatory here. These are your construction costs. So you know if it's gonna cost you 200K to build, so 200K in construction costs, your lender is gonna wanna see a beautiful budget, right? So let's say this is our budget, and on your budget, you're gonna have what's called line items, right? So let's write that, line items, right? So you're gonna have different details for what you're looking to do, right? So let's say light fixtures, and you have, I don't know, windows, maybe your plans and permitting costs, you know, whatever your costs are. And then this is how much money. Those are some little dollar signs there, right? So they're gonna want to see, okay, this actually costs Bob 200K to build, right? So this is your budget, right? So they're gonna wanna see a budget with these line items and details. This basically lets the lender know exactly what materials will be used in the home. So many lenders will have a construction control team to review your budget. This is also known as budget review, right? So they can have a team basically there to review your budget. And the reason a lender will do this is, you know, basically when you're working with a lender, you're coming into a partnership, right? You're using not only your own money into the deal, but also the lenders. So they're gonna wanna take any sort of precautions they can to make sure that you're in a good position to get through the deal and make it a success. So this is number 2, basically your build costs, 200K construction, for example. These are your line items, and this, you know, this 200K should reflect this, right? And your line items and your budget review. So that's number 2. Let's roll to number 3. All right, y'all, let's look at the third part here. So the third part is to sell, right? So this is where construction is complete and you're ready to sell the property. So for example, let's say your timeline looks like this. So firstly, you will sell the home and you make your money, make money. And number 2, you would use the proceeds from the sale to pay off the loan balance, right? So let's say you make your money from the sale, so you have your sale, and then let's call this the payoff, right? So when you have an existing balance from the loan, you're taking your money from the sale, your proceeds from the sale, to be able to pay off the loan, right? All right, y'all, and thirdly is your net profit, right? So this is what you're taking home, right? This is where you go from your net profit, and then you go to the next deal, right? So here are the 3 parts. You sell, you make your money, you use the proceeds from the sale to pay off the loan, and then you get your net profit and on to the next deal, right? So that's the 3rd part there. Regardless of what strategy you choose, it's crucial to have a strong relationship with your lender. It's essential to have someone on your team when it comes to financing your deal. So that's how I believe you can use private money for new construction projects as a beginner. And I hope this video was helpful to you. It should at minimum give you a good start regardless of what your strategy is for new construction. This is an overview of how to use private money for new construction. If y'all like this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you later.